Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope you will all be fine. As you can see on the screen, dear students, today we will learn about the second part of speech, that is pronouns. In the previous lecture, we learned about kinds of nouns. Those who have missed that lecture must watch it before they learn about pronouns. The link is already given in the description box. If you have missed the lecture with the kinds of nouns, you can again just attend the lecture from there. And after attending and after coming to that lecture, you will just be able to understand the pronouns very well. I would like to make one thing clear, guys, that all my grammar lectures are interlinked to one another. If you miss one, you won't be able to understand the next. I hope you understand. So it is all for your own convenience. Now, let's come to the topic. As you can see on the screen, today we are going to start with the kinds of pronouns. So first of all, we have to understand that what is a pronoun and why do we use it in a sentence. This is what we are going to learn first regarding the pronouns. As you can see on the screen there, the question is what is a pronoun and why do we use it? Pronoun is a word that replaces a noun. Why does it replace a noun? It replaces a noun in order to avoid the repetition of a noun in a sentence over and over again. Now the question is, what is that noun called which is replaced by a pronoun? So the noun which is replaced by a pronoun is called antecedent. What does it call? It is called antecedent. As you can see in the example, in the given example, we have two separate sentences about the same person whose name is John. In the first sentence, we use the proper noun John. In the other sentence, again, we have to talk about John. So, in order to avoid the repetition of the name, in order to avoid the repetition of the noun John, we would replace John with he as he is a male member. So instead of John, which pronoun we would use over here? We have used the pronoun he. As you keep see in the example, John is my cousin. And in the next sentence, John has been replaced with the pronoun which is he. So in this case, John is the antecedent. What is an antecedent? Antecedent is that noun which is replaced by a pronoun. And the pronoun which has replaced John is he. So this is the main concept of the pronoun. Then we come to the next kind, that is the personal pronoun. Why do we call them personal pronouns? We call them personal pronouns because they are related to the persons. How? They are related to the first person, to the second person, and the third person. First of all, we talk about the first person pronouns. What is the first person pronoun? What does it mean? It means that I am the first person who is talking to you this time. So the singular first person pronouns are I, me, and my. And the plural first person pronouns are we, us, and our. Now, you are the second person whom I am speaking to this time. What do we mean by second person? You are the second person whom I am talking to this time. singular and plural second person pronouns are same with no difference at all. As you can see on the screen, the plural second person pronouns are you, and your, and same is the case with the singular second person pronouns. They are also you, and your. If you are talking about, if you are just talking about a singular person, again you will use you, and if more than one person is there, again you will be used as a plural second person pronoun. The person about whom, now we talk about the third person. What do we mean by third person? The first thing, this is what is very important. The person about whom we are speaking in his absence, the person who is not present. Fine. First of all, we talked about first person. Then we talked about second person. First person, I'm the first person. You are the second person. And who is the third person? Third person is that person whom we are talking about in his absence. So the singular third person pronouns are he, him, his, she, her, it, or its. And the plural third person pronouns are they, them, their. So this is the main difference between these different pronouns, and because they are related to the persons, so this is the reason that they are called personal pronouns. Now the next kind, the next category which we are going to discuss now are the demonstrative pronouns. As it is very much clear from the name of the kind, demonstrative word comes from the demonstration. Whenever we point out towards something, whenever we point out towards people, towards persons, towards things, so we need some pronoun just to do it. So in all these examples, four kinds of demonstrative pronouns are used: this, that, these, those. These are all the demonstrative pronouns because they have just been used over here to demonstrate in order to point out something. I hate this. Did Megan give you that? She wants these. Will you be using those? These are all the demonstrative pronouns. And one more thing, students, I would like to make clear over here that is, it is not always the case that the demonstrative pronouns would come in the end of the sentence. Rather, they can also be there in your MCQs in the beginning of the sentence. How? That is, suppose I say, that is a car, these are the girls, those were the students, this is my car, or this is my pen, or this is my house. So in this case, this, that, these, those, they are coming in the beginning of the sentence. So both the cases we have discussed over here, they can be there in the end of the sentence or they can be there in the beginning of the sentence. So what we have learned regarding the demonstrative pronouns, we have learned that the demonstrative pronouns are this, that, these, and those. Yes, the next kind, the next category, now we come, is interrogative pronouns. So interrogative pronouns, interrogative word is coming from interrogation. What do we mean by interrogation? Whenever we have to ask question, whenever we have to interrogate somebody, so we need some question words. So all the question words which are used to ask the question, they are called interrogative pronouns. Like you can see in the example, what is the answer to the last question? Who are you? Whom did you send to the store? Now, I have skipped one example, and that whose book is this? In this case, this interrogative pronoun is acting as an interrogative adjective. Later, when we will do the kinds of adjectives, then your idea about the interrogative pronouns and interrogative adjectives is going to be more clear. So whenever an interrogative pronoun will be asking a question, it will be an interrogative pronoun. But whenever it will be following a noun, like in the second example, it is following a noun, that is a book. So whenever a pronoun follows a noun, it becomes an adjective. So in this case, it is an interrogative adjective, not an interrogative pronoun. So what is the list which is given over here regarding the interrogative pronouns? They are who, whom, whose, what, when, where, how. These are all when. These are all the interrogative pronouns which are always there to ask the question. Then the next kind regarding the pronouns are reflexive pronouns. What do we mean by reflexive pronouns? First of all, we come to the just definition of the reflexive pronouns. They always reflect back to the subject. What does it mean? That it is a kind of pronoun which is used as an object in a sentence. This is the main thing which you have to keep in your mind, that whenever a pronoun, so how would you recognize a reflexive pronoun? They are always formed by adding self to the pronouns, like herself, himself, themselves, ourselves. Fine? Ourselves, myself. These are all the reflexive pronouns, because how would you recognize them? How would you identify them? You will identify them because they are formed by adding self to the pronouns. So all the self words like himself, herself, myself, themselves, they are called reflexive pronouns. And when they will act as an object in a sentence, they will be reflexive pronouns. So now you would say that what is the difference between the subject and the object in the sentence? I saw myself in the mirror. I is the subject pronoun of this sentence. It is acting as a subject in the sentence. What is a subject? Subject is the doer of the action. The noun or the pronoun which is doing, which is doing something, which is the doer of the action, is called the subject, and object is the receiver of the action. Object is that noun or pronoun which receives the action of the subject. Now, in this example, I saw myself in the mirror. It means I saw what? Or I saw whom? This myself is acting as an object, because object always answers what or whom. On what or on whom the action of the subject is done. This is an object. Fine. So in this sentence, myself is acting as an object. So whenever a self word will be acting as an object in a sentence, it will be called a reflexive pronoun. Then we come to the next example. Kim wrote a note to herself. Kim wrote a note to whom? So it means some person is there on whom the action of Kim is done. So that person, that pronoun is acting as an object over here, which is herself. So this is a reflexive pronoun. Dick shot himself on the foot. Dick shot whom? Himself is acting as an object. They served whom? Themselves are acting as an object over here. So in all these examples, myself, herself, himself, and themselves, they are acting as a reflexive pronoun, because they are all acting as an object in a sentence. So I think your idea of the reflexive pronoun would be clear, because most of the students, they make always a lot of mistake with reflexive pronouns and intensive or emphatic pronouns. The next category will be intensive or emphatic pronoun. If your idea about the reflexive pronoun will be clear, only then you would be able to differentiate between reflexive and intensive pronouns. Now we come to the next category, and that is intensive pronoun. Another name of the intensive pronoun is emphatic pronoun. I hope, students, you would be having your just notes, or you'll be having some just diary in your hand when you'll be just attending these lectures, because whenever I give you some extra detail, or whenever I tell you something extra apart from this presentation or apart from this knowledge, so you must note it down somewhere. So in the intensive pronoun is written over there. And another name for intensive pronoun is emphatic pronoun. Emphatic comes from the word emphasis. Fine. So if in the just paper you have two just names, intensive pronoun or emphatic pronoun, out of these two names of the pronouns, any name can be used by the examiner. So you must know both of them, intensive pronoun or emphatic pronoun, they are the same. Now, why do we need an intensive pronoun, and what does it do in the sentence? First of all, we have to see that all the self words, there is no difference between the form, between the shape of the reflexive pronouns, myself, herself, himself. The shape is going to be the same. All the intensive and emphatic pronouns, they would be self words, like you can see in the example. But why are they and how are they used in the sentence? This is something different. An intensive pronoun emphasizes its antecedent. I is the noun or the pronoun in the sentence. I myself saw him. Now, students, you can see that if I say I saw him, it was a complete meaningful sentence. So, myself has just been added in the sentence just to put the emphasis. Otherwise, the sentence was complete. I myself saw him. So, myself is just here just to put the emphasis on the pronoun, that is the subject pronoun, and which is I. She herself organized the concert. She organized the concert was complete. Herself is just here just to put the emphasis over the subject pronoun, which is she. The president himself has denied the rumor. The president has denied the rumor was complete. Himself has just been added over here just to put the emphasis over the antecedent or the subject, which is the president over here. The principal herself congratulated us. Principal congratulated us was complete. Herself is just here just to put the emphasis. So what we have learned about the intensive pronoun or an emphatic pronoun, that they are just added to the sentence in order to put the emphasis over the subject. Fine. So their shape is the same. Reflexive pronouns and the intensive pronouns, they are the same. They are the self words, but their usage in the sentence is altogether different. If next come, then we come to the next category, and they are indefinite pronouns. A very, very important pronoun, just the category of the pronoun is, because most of the students, they get them confused with the personal pronouns. So today we are going to learn that why do we call them indefinite pronouns and what is their usage in a sentence. In the beginning, we talked about the personal pronouns, the first person pronouns, second and third person pronouns. We use personal pronouns whenever we have to talk about the persons, whenever we have to talk about some particular person. But in the case of indefinite pronouns, most of the time we have to talk in general. We don't have to talk about the people. We don't have to talk about some particular person. So whenever we want to talk in general, we need some pronouns just for general talking, for general speaking, like some, none, all, some, or anything, one, anywhere. These are all the pronouns, indefinite pronouns, which are there just to talk in general. They are not addressing, they are not just used in the sentence to address any particular person, Rather, they are just there whenever we have to talk about the people in general. Like you can see in the example, some like it hot, or none wants it cold, all are happy, all are equal, but some are more equal. These are all the examples of indefinite pronouns. On the other hand, indefinite adjectives, though it is not your just topic today. Later, we are going to learn about the adjectives, but just in a quick glimpse, I'm going to tell you that the shape of the indefinite pronouns would be same in the case of indefinite pronouns and indefinite adjectives. When they will be used as a pronoun, they will be indefinite pronouns. And whenever they will be following the nouns, like in the example, some people, all animals. So when some will be following a noun, it will become an adjective. When some will be used as a subject, like in the first example, it will be used as a indefinite pronoun. So this is the main difference between an indefinite pronoun and an indefinite adjective. When it will be used as a pronoun, it will be called an indefinite pronoun, but whenever it will be following a noun, it will become an indefinite adjective. Later, when we will do the kinds of adjective, your idea or your comparison between the indefinite pronoun and indefinite adjective is going to be much more clear. So the examples of the indefinite pronouns are some, many, few, none, all, everybody, both, each, such. These are the different examples of the indefinite pronouns. Then we come to the next category, and that is relative pronoun. So the word relative means that it is used to relate something. How we can relate or how we can use a relative pronoun, like you can see in the example, like a sentence, two sentences, two separate sentences are written on the slide. She is a woman, she runs for mayor. Now, if I ask you people to join these two sentences and make it a one sentence, so definitely you will say that in order to join two different sentences to make them one sentence, I need a connector or I need a conjunction. Fine. So it means that whenever two sentences are there and we have to join them to make them one sentence, we need a connector or a conjunction which will be called a relative pronoun. She is the woman who runs for mayor. You saw the house. It is historical landmark. So, how would we join these two sentences to make them one? The house that you saw is a historical landmark. So, in this example, that is acting as as a connector or as a conjunction. So, it means a relative pronoun has two jobs. First of all, it acts as a connector, and the second job of a relative pronoun is that it is simply there to relate the idea. It is simply there to connect two different ideas together as a connector or as a conjunction. Then we come to the next category, and that is, yes, now we come to the next kind, and that is compound relative pronouns. In the first case, in the last slide, we learned about the relative pronouns, and now we come to the compound relative pronouns. Why do we call them compound relative pronouns? Because they are formed by adding two words together. Who plus ever becomes whoever, what plus ever becomes whatever, which plus ever becomes whichever. If you remember in the first just lecture, when we talked about compound nouns, how they were formed by adding two nouns together, like ice plus ice cream became ice cream. Same is the case over here, that two words are joined together to make one word, and they are called compound relative pronouns. They are called compound relative pronouns because they are formed by compound expressions. So, what is the usage of these compound relative pronouns? They are again over there in order to relate the sentences. How would they relate them? Suppose if I say, take whatever, do whatever you like, or I say, you can go anywhere you want to go. So these are all the compound relative pronouns which are there just to relate or just to be used as a connector or as a conjunction. There different examples can be there regarding the compound relative pronouns. You can come whenever you want. You can go wherever you like. So these are all the examples with your compound relative pronouns. Then we come to the next category, and that are possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns are used just to show the possession. So these are all this is the whole list of the possessive pronouns: mine, yours, his, hers, ours, theirs, yours. These are all the possessive pronouns because in all these sentences, what is the function of these possessive pronouns? The function of these possessive pronouns is that they are there just to show the possession. So later when we will do the kinds of adjectives, then you will be able that how would you differentiate between a possessive pronoun and a possessive adjective. So this is the reason that again and again I repeat the same thing, that my one lecture will be interlinked to my other lecture. If my previous lecture is missed by you by some reason, you first of all watch the first lecture and then you go to the next. Only then you will be able to understand the concept with the help of comparison. So the next category we are going to discuss now, they are the distributive pronouns because they give us the sense of distribution. So how many distributive pronouns do we have in grammar? We have four distributive pronouns: each, every, either, and neither. And always each, every, either, and neither, they always give us a singular concept. They always give us a singular, just they are always used with a singular pronoun or a noun. Suppose each boy either rode, neither accusation. So in all these sentences, all these distributive pronouns, they are used by the with the singular noun. Then we come to the next kind, and they are reciprocal pronouns. So reciprocal pronouns, they are called, it expresses a relationship between the individuals indicated in the plural subject. So students, one thing is very, very important regarding the reciprocal pronouns. We have two kinds of reciprocal pronouns, each other, and the other reciprocal pronoun is one another. So whenever you have to talk about two people, you will use each other. And whenever you have to talk about more than two people, like in the example, the boys fought with one another. And in the previous example, we talked about two people. So in that case, we used each other. And in this case, the boys or the members of the family, because they are more than two, so we have used one another. So this difference is very, very important, which you have to keep in mind. So the lecture for today is over, guys. And in the next lecture is far more important because in the next lecture, we will go through the practice sentences like you can see on the screen. We will go through the practice sentences, whatever you have learned regarding all the kinds of pronouns. You are going to practice them one by one. I have made your practice sentences from different sources. These are all the practice sentences from the just previous papers, as you can just have a glimpse of them. And these are all the practice sentences from your Renan Martin. These are the different sources from where you can have the practice sentences in your just MCQs. So just the glimpse of all the practice sentences I have just shown you just in this lecture. And in the next lecture, we are going to practice all these pronouns one by one. But before attending the lecture, your concept of all the kinds of pronouns should be very much clear. Only then you would be able to identify all the kinds of pronouns with the help of comparison. So this was all for today, guys. I hope you will just go through all just kinds of pronouns. You are just going to learn them with the help of examples. And later in the next lecture, we are going to practice them. So your idea regarding the kinds of pronouns will be more clear. Till then, let's just say Allah Hafiz to each other. And inshallah ta'ala, in the next lecture, we will practice pronouns. Allah Hafiz till then.